Ever wonder what it takes to live a life creatively? So do we. That's why we're here, to find out what clever people do to succeed in the arts, business, and education. I'm Cecily Korst, and this is the Trailer Talks. We're interviewing artists and educators, musicians, and thought leaders, at home and on the road. So come on, it's going to be a good trip. Hey, welcome to the trailer. Come on in. So who's your advocate? Who's your biggest supporters? Who's your biggest advocate? Who's your biggest supporter? Biggest supporter. Who supports you in that? Yeah, who believes in you most? Today, our guests answer the question, who is your biggest advocate?
It's like at the Oscar show. I have to say, I say thanks to
Exactly.
exactly that.
That's a hard it's a hard question to answer.
My biggest advocate, I would say,
Well,
Oh my god.
Ooh. Interesting. I would say our viewers are our biggest supporters, actually.
yeah. Can I jump in on this? So, a lot of people think that, like, you try something, you get your friends involved, and your friends do it, and then your friends tell their friends, and it builds out that way. What we've found is it's sort of been the opposite of that. And it's not that our friends and family aren't supportive, but in my opinion, a lot of them just don't know what we're doing. Yeah. They don't understand it, they don't get it. So the people who've really caught on and been the biggest supporters are the ones who are sitting back in their house in the middle of somewhere we don't even know exists. And they've just caught onto it somehow, either through YouTube or iTunes, or they've stumbled across a blog or something, and they're the ones sharing it.
In some ways, I would actually say my dad, who we certainly have had some friction in our lives, but he has always said that he's always made a point of saying that anything that you pursue wholeheartedly, you will be successful at. And as much as I sort of don't believe it from him sometimes, he's still, that's a message that he's always said, and I think that that's part of what allowed me to say, you know what, I am an actor, and that is something that I want to do, and that is something that I want to pursue.
I am so lucky to have such wonderful, supportive people in my life, but I think it's funny because my mom and my dad are so supportive, and then my mother has a twin sister, and they were signed to Capitol as a musical act in the 70s, and so it's like I have two sets of parents that are equally supportive of me. They all have roots in music as well.
So it all runs in the family. You did not have a choice, did you?
No. No, I don't feel like I did.
My family. Yeah. I mean, my parents and my sister are by far my biggest supporters, which I feel so fortunate to have, because I know there are a lot of artists and creative people that do not have their family support, and my parents aren't actors, and that's not something I think they necessarily set out for me when I was little, but they've been nothing but supportive. They've seen everything I've ever done. They can't wait to see anything I'm doing next. Like, if I haven't shown it to them, they push me, like, we haven't seen that film yet, where is it, Marion, give it to me.
So are both you and your sister in the same town? You're both
Yes.
here?
Mm-hmm. We both live in Los Angeles.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
so what's it like working with her? Because I don't know that I could work with my little sister.
We got a lot of that. I felt like people on set were kind of like, is this gonna be cool? Is this gonna, is this gonna be weird? And honestly, we didn't know, because, as long as, we've both been actors for a while, and we had never worked together professionally, and so we were a little nervous about it as well. Like, we hope this is okay. I know we were playing sisters in the film that we were acting opposite each other in, and I think the first time we read through it, we just laughed, because we were watching each other, act, and we were just like, basically, like, you're doing it, you're doing the thing, yeah.
oh, my wife, my family. I love, she's really a big rock for me. I've known her since I'm 15 years old, and we're partners, and I always love having her in the back of the room, because it just brings so much stability and so much ease, And I know that no matter what I do, she's going to tell me what I can do to get better. We have just such an open relationship about that. I think also I have such good friends, and I love to pay it forward. I really do. I mean, authentically, I'd rather help first. And when you do that, and you do that just as a matter of who you are, you start to get a lot of goodwill out there. So I find that there's a lot of people out there that are cheering for me, and I love them for that.
Previously, it was my parents. You know, I mean, and they still are super supportive of me. Now, my biggest advocate, my biggest supporter is my wife. I mean, she is just there along every step of the process, and she's completely invested in this. And she feels like this is our book, our project, our opportunity to have something out in the world that can inspire people. And so she's definitely my biggest supporter, my biggest advocate, but rather than just saying, oh, honey, you know, I support you, she is right there along the way in the trenches with me, doing all the work in the middle of the night that we need to do.
Well, right now, my biggest supporter is my mom. Not only supporter, but she's like buying flowers every week. So I hope every single mom would be like my mom. So like literally as a supporter, but also I think emotionally as a supporter too. And it's interesting because poker as well, you go through so many emotional ups and downs that you have to almost be able to just wipe it off. And I think entrepreneurship is the exact same thing, right? Sometimes you won't get the traction you want. Sometimes it'll take longer than you want. Adoption will take longer than you want. Investors won't come around until you least expect it. And it's like if you have that internal fortitude, so to speak, if you can weather the storm, and I think that's one of the greatest things I got from my mom.
Probably my family, in the sense that they haven't got in my way. Now my wife, who I met in Freetown 2 years ago, although she's a lovely English girl from London, we met on the beach in Sierra Leone. I'm sure we wouldn't have met in London. So yeah, they're my biggest supporters in the sense that they've never questioned what I've done, and even though it's not been, you know, you try things and it's clearly not in this, you know, it doesn't bring in regular income. It is often feels like you're doing it because you really want to do it rather than what should I be doing for other people in my life. And the members that have joined us as well. I mean, there's people who first signed up to Fiji, those crazy kids, the early adopters. It was amazing watching the first group of our members get off the plane in Fiji. So the early adopters, I'm always high-fiving them.
That's my manager, without doubt. I mean, you know, you could say your mum, but isn't everyone's mum the biggest supporter? But she is as well, obviously. I mean, she bought a house up in Big Bed just so that she can come and visit more often. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to see more often. But, you know, in terms of outside of my family, it's my manager. He picked me up from when I didn't have any like film and TV credits at all. I mean, and I just had theatre credits, which kind of, to some people, means nothing out here. And he developed and worked with me every single day since then. And I'm going to stick with him for a long time.
I have different kind of advocates. My friends, obviously, are always like, "This is cool. What are you doing? Can we come along?" My brother's very, very instrumental because he is like my reality check. He will sometimes bring me down to earth, or he comes up with really amazing ideas for the blog as well. So I don't know. My inspiration, I guess, is my grandfather, who's no longer with us, but he kind of set me on the journey, and so I literally probably every day think of him in some respect. I mean, like, am I living up to what he would want me to do? Am I doing as many kind things as he did in his lifetime? Like, that's the person I think of the most.
You know, my mom's always been there. She's gone to every performance. She's read every review. She's, you know, she's sort of voracious. You know, she's devoured every piece of writing that comes out, or every clip, or whatever I send her, and she's got a very broad range of taste. So she's not offended by things that are dark or disturbing. And I've had some pretty incredible support, especially for the past 6 years. I'm reassessing that currently.
Fair enough.
Because, you know, things change, and so. But I'd say she's she's been pretty steady throughout.
So I will be very classic in this because it's the truth is classic and it's special. Brio, my wife. Antonio, my kid. My father Antonio, because and actually I can say also myself because I several times I have to ask to myself to help me in this. Very hard. You have to be strong, I think, because you have to analyze something. Sometimes it's brighter, sometimes it's darker than you. And when it's darker, you have to keep control and equilibrium.
In this job, one has to believe in oneself, and you have to be your own biggest supporter, because a lot of times there'll be nobody out there. I have a buddy who's a fellow comedian in DC I met a few years ago, and he's a great cheerleader and is always helping me. In fact, I have to edit some video to get ready for something here, and I was doing that when you called, and he helps me with that as well. And also just, I mean, I have a, surprising for someone who's not that well known, a celebrity, I have a huge fan base, and they're very, especially on Facebook, they're real inspirational, and a lot of positivity that comes from that as well.
Who's been your biggest supporter?
Me.
Thank you, Matt Kelly, Dave Thompson, Gabrielle Thomas, Taylor Greenwood, Marion Kerr, Mike Jaffe, Adam Shepard, David Danshigar, Ben Keene, Lawrence Fuller, Reagan Payne, Seth Burnham, Paolo Troilo, Dan Ninen, and Dennis Keeley. And thank you to everyone who supports their work and ours. We couldn't do it without you. I'm Cecily Korst. Join us for the next road trip.
I mean, you could say your mum.
Where's my mom?
My mom.
My mom's.
My mom and
my mom.
A Japanese mom.
We've probably got a total of 1 viewers. That'll be your mum, because she...
I will forward this link to my mum.
Sensational.
And she may watch it, and she won't understand it, but she may watch it.